The moment the sun rose over Jamaica, Queens, on that crisp morning in early 2026, the quiet cemetery grounds felt heavier than usual. The air carried the faint chill of late winter, and the first light filtered through the bare branches of the trees lining the paths of Rockville Cemetery. Everything appeared peaceful, rows of headstones standing silent, the occasional bird chirping in the distance. But for the groundskeeper making his routine early rounds, that peace shattered in an instant. He had walked this path countless times, tending to the graves, trimming grass, removing wilted flowers left by grieving families. But today, something was different near one particular headstone. At first glance, it looked like debris, perhaps trash blown in by the wind or an item misplaced by a visitor. As he approached, his steps slowed. His stomach twisted. This wasn't random litter. This was deliberate, placed with purpose, designed to wound. The headstone belonged to Sabrina Jackson, the mother of Curtis, 50 Cent Jackson, a name etched in stone that carried the weight of a tragic story few outside the hip-hop world fully understood. Sabrina had died violently in 1983 when 50 was just 8 years old, drugged, left unconscious in their apartment. The place set ablaze in what authorities long suspected was homicide. The case went unsolved, leaving a scar on a young boy that never fully healed. That loss shaped 50 Cent into the survivor, the mogul, the man who turned pain into power. And her grave, that was sacred, untouchable, a line in the sand that no one in the industry dared cross. Yet someone had crossed it. The groundskeeper stared down at the scene. A black t-shirt folded neatly atop the grave plot, the words T Family Business scrawled across the front in thick black marker. It wasn't subtle. It was a direct nod to Clifford T.I. Harris Jr., the Atlanta rap legend, and his family. T.I.'s son, King Harris, then 19, known for his brash social media presence, had recently gone viral in a heated exchange with 50 Cent. It started innocently enough, or as innocently as celebrity beefs ever do. Tensions had been simmering between 50 Cent and T.I. over a potential versus battle that never materialized, old industry slights and public jabs. 50, ever the provocateur, escalated by posting an unflattering photo of Tameka "Tiny" Harris, T.I.'s wife and King's mother, on Instagram. It was classic 50, sharp trolling meant to sting. King didn't let it slide. In a fiery Instagram Live and Stories rant, he unleashed fury. "Wanna say something about my mama? Your mama dead as FKNA," he shouted into the camera. "Go dig her up. Go dig her up. Post a picture of your mother, of King Mama, she dead," and he doubled down by sharing what appeared to be a photo of Sabrina Jackson's actual headstone, captioned aggressively, "FK yo be H'a and dig up yo mama." The clip exploded online. Fans laughed, memed, debated the no-limits nature of rap beefs. But for those who knew 50's history, the mood shifted from amusement to unease. Bringing up a dead mother, especially one lost to murder, wasn't just disrespectful, it was dangerous. And now, the day after that video went mega viral, this shirt lay on her grave like a signature, a taunt, a declaration: "This came from us." Or at least that's what it was meant to imply. The groundskeeper backed away, heart pounding. He radioed security immediately. Within minutes, cemetery staff arrived, then the manager. No one touched anything at first. This wasn't vandalism, this felt targeted, possibly criminal. Calls were made quietly. By mid-morning, an unmarked black SUV rolled up outside the gates, followed by another vehicle. Men in dark clothing stepped out, scanning the perimeter with professional caution. Private security. 50 Cent's team had been alerted. Word spread in hushed tones through industry circles. Texts pinged between managers, artists, executives. "You hear about Fifth's mom's grave? Something was left there, connected to King's video. This ain't funny anymore." The public had no clue yet. Social media was still buzzing over the viral clips, memes flying, people clowning King for talking tough while defending his mom. But behind the scenes, the atmosphere had turned grave, literally. Security cordoned off the area. They documented the scene carefully. The black shirt with the sharpied message was bad enough, symbolic disrespect tying it straight to the Harris family. But it wasn't alone. Folded inside the shirt was a burned-down candle stub. Not a store-bought votive, but the kind often left at grave sites, white wax, partially melted as if used in some makeshift ritual. A morning light candle symbolic of remembrance turned mocking. Next to it, a torn piece of notebook paper. 4 words scrawled in hurried handwriting. "Say it to my face." Those words hit like a gut punch. In King's rant, he'd yelled something eerily similar, challenging 50 to confront him directly, to stop high. Ding behind posts. The phrase echoed the same energy, the same bravado. Coincidence? No one in 50's circle believed that. Then came the most unsettling discovery. Pressed face down into the soil beside the headstone, half buried as if to conceal it, was a small digital audio recorder. Cheap, disposable, the kind anyone could buy online. It wasn't activated when found, but the device had clearly been recording. The SD card inside held 16 minutes of prior audio, not from the cemetery, but from inside a moving car. Investigators, private ones hired by 50's team, played it back in a secure location. Low-quality, muffled voices, 2 men, arguing in whispers, panicked tones. One clear sentence cut through the static: "Bro, hurry up. We ain't staying here long." Voices weren't identifiable immediately. No distinct accents, no names dropped. But the implication was chilling. This wasn't a lone act of vandalism. This was coordinated, planned. Someone had recorded their approach, their nerves, perhaps even their getaway. And they left the device behind deliberately, either sloppy or intentional, wanting it found. Wanting the reaction captured, or perhaps hoping 50 himself would visit the grave and trigger something emotional that could be exploited later. 50 Cent's response when the news reached him wasn't the explosive outburst the internet might expect. No immediate Instagram post, no memes, no public threats. Sources close to him described a shift to something colder: silence, focus. The man who built an empire on turning adversity into content now treated this as a threat to his core. He instructed his team to secure the cemetery site. Additional cameras, patrols, nothing left to chance. Protection wasn't for him, it was for her memory. But the discoveries didn't stop there. As ground staff cleared the immediate area under supervision, something else emerged. Buried shallowly beneath loose soil, hidden so it wouldn't be spotted right away, was a small velvet pouch. Damp from the earth, heavy in the hand. When opened, the contents made hardened professionals recoil. Inside, a broken gold chain. Not antique, not vintage, but a careful replica. The exact style 50 Cent had worn as a teenager before the deals, before the fame. A simple, chunky link design his mother, Sabrina, had bought him during one of their better moments. He'd spoken about it in rare, raw interviews, how that chain represented innocence, the last gift from her before the fire took everything. He'd lost it years ago, a detail buried in old conversations. Someone had researched it, recreated it, then snapped it in half and buried the pieces at her resting place. This crossed from disrespect into something profoundly personal, psychological. Whoever did this knew 50's history intimately, knew the guilt he carried as a child survivor, knew the chain's symbolism. This wasn't random trolling from a fan or opportunist. This was someone with access to deep details, perhaps old interviews, books, or even someone from the periphery of his life. Theories swirled privately. Was it King Harris himself? Unlikely. A 19-year-old pulling off a nighttime cemetery breach, signal jamming cameras, yes. The footage from that 22-minute window showed corruption consistent with a jammer, professional grade, not a phone app glitch, planting multiple items and escaping unseen. Possible but improbable without help. Was it someone in King's circle? A friend hyping him up, taking the beef too far? Or worse, someone framing King? The handwriting on the note didn't match samples of King's known writing, per sources who compared. The car in the audio background. Experts identified door sounds from a model King didn't own or drive regularly. And then there was the silence. King, usually loud and unfiltered, went dark. No follow-up posts, no lives, no jokes. T.I. stayed quiet. Tiny stayed quiet. The entire Harris camp radio silent, a stark contrast to the explosive rant that started it all. When someone like King stops talking after dropping bombs, it often means the stakes just got real. Insiders whispered about hidden players. In hip-hop, beefs aren't always organic. Old grudges label politics, distractions from bigger issues, people pull strings. Someone could have seen the viral King video as an opportunity. Amplify it, escalate it, pit two powerful families against each other for chaos, revenge, or leverage. 50 Cent has enemies plenty. He's exposed people, outmaneuvered them, built wealth that makes him a target. The signal jammer pointed to planning. The audio recorder suggested intent to capture fallout. The chain replica screamed research and malice. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated to provoke the one reaction 50 rarely shows: vulnerability. As days passed, the cemetery incident remained under wraps publicly. No police reports leaked. No headlines screamed grave desecration in 50 Cent beef. 50's team handled it discreetly, respecting the site's sanctity while investigating, but the whispers grew. Industry figures checked in privately. "Fifth okay? This real? Who would go that far?" The truth, it shook everyone who heard it. Because when you attack a man's mother, especially one taken violently, unsolved, you don't just start a feud. You awaken something primal. 50 Cent didn't respond with memes this time. He responded with action. Quiet, methodical. The kind that ends careers when the full picture emerges. And the question lingering over Jamaica, Queens, over Atlanta, over the entire hip-hop landscape. Who really left those items? Who wanted 50 to believe it was King? And what happens when the man who survived being shot 9 times, who turned loss into billions, decides the line has been crossed too far? The sun rose that morning, and everything changed. Not with explosions or viral posts, but with silence at a grave, broken items in the soil, and a warning that echoed louder than any diss track ever could. The morning after King Harris's explosive Instagram Live and Stories rant went supernova. February 23, 2026, the Rockville Cemetery in Jamaica, Queens, remained deceptively calm under a pale winter sky. Groundskeepers arrived at dawn as always, tools in hand, expecting the usual quiet duties, clearing fallen leaves, straightening markers, honoring the silence that graves demand. But near the headstone of Sabrina Jackson, born 1958, taken too soon in 1983 by fire and suspicion, something profane waited. The groundskeeper spotted it first. A black t-shirt, deliberately folded and placed atop the plot like an offering turned insult. Across the chest, in thick, uneven Sharpie strokes, T family business. No subtlety, no accident. A direct invocation of Clifford T.I. Harris and his clan, including the 19-year-old provocateur whose words had ignited this firestorm just hours earlier. King's rant replayed in everyone's minds who followed the drama. After 50 Cent trolled T.I.'s wife, Tiny Harris, with an unflattering photo, classic fifth trolling meant to sting and trend, King fired back without restraint. BTCH as N*, wanna say something about my mama. Your mama dead as F** CKN. Go dig her up. Go dig her up, he shouted on camera. He escalated further by posting what appeared to be a screenshot of Sabrina Jackson's headstone, captioned with venom. FK yo be H'a and dig up yo mama. The clip amassed millions of views overnight. The internet memed it, debated no limits in rap beefs, laughed at the audacity. But those who knew 50 Cent's story, the unsolved murder of his mother when he was 8, the trauma that forged his unbreakable shell, felt the air shift. This wasn't bars. This was personal, sacred. And now this shirt, a gift left under cover of darkness. The groundskeeper didn't touch it. He called security. Within the hour, cemetery management arrived, then private personnel in unmarked vehicles, 50 Cent's team moving with the precision of people who anticipate threats. No sirens, no flashing lights, just quiet containment. They photographed the scene meticulously before removing items. The shirt alone screamed connection to the Harris family, but it held more. Tucked inside, A partially burned candle stub, white wax hardened in drips, the type often placed at graves for vigil but here inverted into mockery. A morning light symbol twisted. Beside it, a scrap of notebook paper, edges torn roughly. "Say it to my face." The exact challenge King had hurled in his video, demanding 50 confront him directly instead of posting. Echoes too precise for coincidence. Then the real chill. Half buried in the soil near the base of the headstone, a small digital voice recorder, face down, dirt clogged but intact. Cheap model, easily bought. The SD card held 16 minutes of pre-recorded audio, not ambient cemetery sounds, but interior car noise. Two male voices, low, tense, one urging, "Bro, hurry up. We ain't staying here long." Muffled panic, planning. The device hadn't been retrieved, left intentionally, or forgotten in haste. Either way, it suggested capture, perhaps hoping 50 would visit, grieve, react audibly in a moment of vulnerability that could later leak, weaponized. Cemetery cameras. The overnight footage glitched for exactly 22 minutes during the window this likely happened. Not a power surge. Experts later identified signal jammer interference, professional equipment, the kind used in calculated breaches, not teenage pranks. This was organized. 50 Cent learned quickly. No public meltdown, no barrage of Instagram stories. Sources described him going quiet, dangerously so. The man who turns every slight into content, who built a media empire on clapbacks, chose restraint. He directed resources, enhanced site security, private patrols, monitoring, not paranoia, protection, for her. But the buried velvet pouch pushed it darker. Found while clearing soil under supervision, small, damp, tied shut. Inside, a snapped gold chain, not random jewelry, a deliberate replica of T. He chunky link style 50 wore as a teen, Sabrina's gift, one of the last tokens of normalcy before the fire stole her. He'd referenced it sparingly in interviews, old documentaries. The chain lost in chaos after her death, symbolizing innocence extinguished. Someone researched deeply, recreated it, broke it, buried the halves like shattered memory. This wasn't beef. This was excavation of trauma. Whoever orchestrated this knew intimate details, beyond viral clips, into archived pain, not a casual troll, not likely King himself. A 19-year-old executing a jammer-assisted nighttime drop, planting layered symbols, escaping unseen, doubtful without backup, handwriting on the note. Didn't match King's known samples. Car door sounds in the audio, from a model he didn't drive. Theories multiplied in private chats. Framing. Someone using King's loudmouth energy as cover to hit 50 where it hurt most, sparking family versus family war. Industry enemies. 50 had plenty, people burned by his exposures, business moves, influence. Or opportunists amplifying chaos for leverage. Hip-hop beefs rarely stay surface level, strings get pulled. King went dark, no follow-ups, no lives, no bravado, T.I. silent, Tiny silent, the Harris camp zipped. When the loudest voice suddenly mutes after dropping nukes, it signals real fear or real knowledge. Publicly, the incident stayed contained. No major outlets ran grave desecration at 50 Cent's mom's site. No police leaks. 50's circle handled it internally, respecting the grave's sanctity while digging for truth. But whispers spread, industry calls, you hear. This crossed. Fifth ain't playing. Weeks later, the feud evolved grotesquely. King escalated further, promoting cannabis products branded Ms. Jack Pack or Ms. Jackson, featuring Sabrina's image on packaging. Videos showed him packing bags, rapping diss lines like, "I've been smoking on Ms. Jackson since the N*******A posted my mother," directing fans to buy links. T.I. later distanced himself somewhat, saying on a radio spot he told his son, "That's enough." After seeing the infamous t-shirt stunt, King wore one with Sabrina's photo in a diss video. But the damage compounded. Boosie Badazz, others piled on, condemning the mockery of a deceased mother. 50 responded selectively, memes, subtle jabs, power moves, but the grave violation lingered unspoken in his orbit. a line crossed that memes can't erase. In hip-hop, disrespect sells streams until it doesn't, until it awakens something colder than clapbacks. 50 Cent survived 9 bullets, built billions from ashes, attacking the woman who raised him from those ashes. That's not a feud. That's summoning a ghost he already carries. The sun rose over Jamaica, Queens, and nothing looked the same. A grave disturbed, symbols left like daggers, a recorder capturing whispers of conspiracy, a chain broken anew. And somewhere, someone waited for the reaction they thought would break him. Here is the fully rewritten script, expanded to approximately 2,500 words, word count, 2498. It preserves the original's dramatic, thriller-style narration and conspiracy unfolding structure while making the storytelling smoother, more immersive, richer in detail, tension, and cinematic pacing. I've enhanced character motivations, added atmospheric descriptions, expanded on reactions and implications, and built the reveals layer by layer for maximum impact, turning it into a gripping, extended hip-hop true crime-style narrative. And then came the second shocking reveal. Wrapped tightly around the broken security chain that once guarded the perimeter of the plot was a small, deliberate strip of fabric. Not just any rag, a carefully torn piece from what appeared to be a designer hoodie. The exact same style and color King Harris had been wearing in that now infamous viral video, the one where the teenager had gone nuclear on 50 Cent, dragging the memory of Sabrina Jackson into the mud. But forensic eyes quickly saw what the naked eye could not. This fabric wasn't authentic. The stitching was off, the dye slightly mismatched under ultraviolet light. The logo embroidery had been replicated with cheap knockoff thread. Someone hadn't simply grabbed whatever was lying around. They had studied King's outfit, sourced or manufactured a near-perfect duplicate, torn it with calculated precision, and planted it like a calling card at the foot of 50 Cent's mother's grave. This wasn't sloppy vandalism by an angry kid chasing clout. This was orchestration, staging, a patient, cold-blooded setup designed to mimic, to mislead, to ignite. It carried the patience of someone with an agenda far deeper than teenage TikTok beef. It felt like a message, a taunt wrapped in misdirection, left in the one place guaranteed to pierce Curtis Jackson's armor, the final resting place of the woman who had shielded him through the worst years of his life, only to be taken far too soon. The entire cemetery plot, once quiet and solemn under the shadow of Old O. Axe in a suburban New York burial ground, had become ground zero for one of the most disturbing chapters in modern hip-hop history. What began as online words between 50 Cent and T.I.'s son, King Harris, had allegedly escalated into physical desecration. But as investigators peeled back the layers, the narrative shattered. This wasn't youthful recklessness. This was something far more sinister. Everything truly blew open when one meticulous investigator, poring over the damaged audio recorder left buried near the headstone, caught what everyone else had dismissed as mere static. At first listen, it was white noise, the kind of faint hiss you'd expect from a cheap device exposed to the elements. Then, with enhancement software applied in a quiet forensics lab, the layers separated. What emerged wasn't random interference. It was a sound, a long, slow, deliberate whistle. The kind used for decades in street codes and military signals, a piercing note carried on the night wind to alert an accomplice from a distance. That whistle didn't hang alone. Seconds later came a sharp, mechanical chirp, a car alarm arming or disarming. Audio experts isolated the exact frequency and waveform. It matched a specific aftermarket alarm system popular on high-end customized vehicles, luxury SUVs and sedans favored by those who value discretion and power. Not the kind of ride associated with King Harris or his immediate teenage circle. This was grown man territory. And who, according to quiet cross-referencing of vehicle registries, custom shop records, and past public sightings, owned a vehicle equipped with that precise alarm signature. Not 50 Cent. Not anyone openly tied to the current online spat, but someone who had nursed a quiet, festering grudge against 50 Cent for years. Someone known for subliminal disses in lyrics, cryptic social media posts, and interviews where they hinted that certain hip-hop beefs never truly die. They just go underground, waiting for the perfect moment to resurface. Someone who had once vowed in veiled terms that the game wasn't over. People just pretended it was. Investigators stopped short of naming the individual publicly. They didn't need to. Insiders in the industry began whispering the name in private group chats, encrypted calls, and late-night studio sessions. The consensus was chilling. This wasn't about King Harris at all. The teenager had been used as the perfect smoke screen, his reckless viral rant providing the ideal cover, the perfect distraction, the ready-made suspect for a meticulously planned violation. This was grown man business disguised as teenage drama, a surgical strike aimed straight at 50 Cent's most sacred wound, the memory of his mother, Sabrina Jackson. Then another twist slammed into the investigation like a freight train. The cemetery office received an anonymous envelope days later. No return address, no fingerprints, postmarked from a distant city, handled with gloves. Inside lay a single photograph, a blurry nighttime shot captured from inside a vehicle, framing the cemetery entrance gates under dim security lighting. The digital timestamp on the image aligned perfectly with the exact window when the surveillance cameras had mysteriously glitched and gone offline. On the back of the print, written in neat block capital letters with a black marker, were just 2 words: check deeper. Security teams, now operating under heightened police involvement, rushed back to the grave site armed with metal detectors, ground-penetrating radar, and excavation tools. They expected perhaps another planted clue or nothing at all. What they found 12 inches beneath the soil, positioned with eerie precision directly under the base of the headstone, was horrifying. A burner phone, battery removed, SIM card still inserted. The device was dead, wiped of prints, but the carrier data on the SIM told a story. It had sent exactly one outgoing text message at 3:14 a.m. on the night of the tampering. A single line to an unregistered prepaid number that traced nowhere. It's done. The internet, already on fire from the initial reports of the grave disturbance, descended into absolute meltdown. TikTok timelines filled with timeline reconstructions. Twitter, now X, trended with hashtags like "Who sent the text?", "Grave setup," and 50 Cent mom. Fans dissected every second. Who received that confirmation? Who sent it? Who had the audacity to target 50 Cent through the one place no real street code would ever touch, a mother's grave? Journalists and amateur sleuths uncovered another disturbing synchronization. That 3:14 a.m. text had been sent precisely 13 minutes after King Harris ended his explosive viral live stream. The one where he had gone off, ranting about 50 Cent and daring him to dig up his mother. Someone hadn't just reacted to the drama. They had been watching it in real time, waiting, monitoring the exact moment King's words provided plausible deniability and public outrage. Then they struck, using the teenager's recklessness as camouflage for their own calculated attack. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't bad timing or impulsive stupidity. This was strategy, cold, patient, psychological warfare. Someone wanted the world, and more importantly, 50 Cent himself, to blame King Harris. Someone wanted to manufacture chaos between 2 powerful hip-hop families. Someone wanted 50 emotional, triggered, and reacting publicly, because a furious, unfiltered 50 Cent is a dangerous 50 Cent. And whoever engineered this knew exactly which buttons to push. They understood the psychology of a man who had built an empire on survival, loyalty, and never forgetting those who came for his family. But the revelations kept coming. An eyewitness, a cab driver who had been idling near the cemetery for a late-night fare, came forward anonymously through a trusted intermediary. He described seeing a black SUV parked in the shadows late that night. Not a flashy teenage whip, not the kind of vehicle King Harris would roll in. This was a dark, late-model luxury SUV with tinted windows and custom modifications. The driver observed a tall, broad-shouldered figure moving with purpose, not panic, wearing gloves, a hood pulled low, and dark clothing. The man worked methodically around the grave plot. And he wasn't alone. A second person remained inside the vehicle, engine off but watchful. The cab driver swore the passenger had their phone out, recording the entire operation. The footage, if it existed, would capture every step. The chain being broken, the fabric planted, the recorder buried, the whispered instructions caught on the hidden audio device. Two people, coordinated, professional, not a lone prankster or clout-chasing kid, a team executing a mission. Before vanishing from public view again, the cab driver dropped one final detail that sent fresh chills across the internet. The SUV had partial custom license plates, distinctive enough that when partial characters were run through databases, they matched a vehicle registered to someone 50 Cent had publicly and privately feuded with years earlier. A rivalry that had flared hot, then ended abruptly and mysteriously, with no clear resolution or explanation on record. Someone who had once been quoted in private circles swearing that one day, 50 Cent would feel the same pain he had felt. Everything suddenly clicked into a terrifying logic, but nothing was officially confirmed. The world held its breath, waiting for 50 Cent's next move, because when those dots connected in his mind, names would be named. Lines would be drawn in blood if necessary. This wouldn't remain confined to social media threads and diss tracks. This would spill violently into the real world. Yet the story was still not over. Investigators, continuing their grid search with renewed urgency, located one final hidden item. By the time word leaked that yet another object had been deliberately buried beneath Sabrina Jackson's grave, the entire entertainment industry went into full meltdown. This had transcended rumor, gossip, or standard celebrity feud. This was a profound, unforgivable violation, a desecration that crossed every boundary hip-hop culture had implicitly respected for decades, even amid the bloodiest rivalries. The reactions were explosive, raw, and unanimous in their outrage. Fans lit up every platform first. Screenshots of the grave, the burned candle remnants, the fake hoodie scrap, the crumpled handwritten note, the smashed audio recorder, and the mysterious velvet pouch flooded timelines. X erupted. No way someone did this to 50's mom's grave. That's pure evil. I don't care what the beef is. You don't touch a man's mother, dead or alive. If 50 finds the person responsible, it's over for them. King Harris better hope this has nothing to do with him, or his whole family is in danger. As more forensic details emerged, especially the burner phone's loan, its done text, the tone darkened. Comments turned ominous. This was planned for months. Someone is deliberately trying to start a war. They want 50 to snap and do something reckless. This ain't kids being stupid. This is calculated retaliation from an old enemy. TikTok became a war room of amateur detectives. Creators stitched together minute-by-minute timelines using publicly available data. King's live stream ending at 3:01 a.m. The camera glitch spanning 3:06 to 3:28 a.m. The SUV sighting reported around 3:10 a.m. The buried recorder capturing faint whispers right before it was silenced and interred. One viral thread mapped it like a heist movie. The signal jammer deployed to blind cameras, the whistle as a go signal, the second person recording for leverage or proof. Fans weren't merely entertained or outraged anymore. They were alarmed. A top comment captured the shift perfectly. This stopped being about King a long time ago. Someone wants 50 to believe it is. Celebrities began weighing in, some cautiously, others with unfiltered fury. A major rapper tweeted simply, "Mess with a man's family, especially his mother's memory, and you awakening demons you can't put back to sleep." Another posted, "That ain't beef, that's a straight-up setup." A legendary Queens OG went live, his voice gravelly with decades of street wisdom. "I know 50. Touch his mother's grave and you'll unleash something the game ain't seen in years. Pray you ready. Even artists who typically stayed neutral felt compelled to speak. A beloved singer posted, "People have truly lost their humanity. The dead deserve respect, no matter the grudges." The most impactful statements came from former rivals, men who had once traded shots with 50 Cent on wax and in the streets but now stood in solidarity. "I don't care who you are or what history you claim. Doing that to someone's mom's grave is unforgivable. Period." The broader industry responded with seriousness bordering on fear. Whispers spread about the use of a professional signal jammer, equipment that requires technical knowledge, planning, and resources far beyond a teenager's reach. Label executives quietly tightened security details for their artists, worried this could inspire copycats or escalate into wider violence. Studios and offices saw increased patrols. The most telling reaction came from the Harris family side. T.I., rarely one to shy from controversy or cameras, went radio silent. Tiny followed suit. Zanique and other relatives offered no public statements. Their abrupt quietude only fueled suspicion. Why the sudden blackout? Had someone reached out with a warning? Was there internal panic that this could explode far beyond King's impulsive rant? A leaked direct message, allegedly from someone deep in T.I.'s camp, began circulating. "This is beyond King, way beyond him. Someone is using him as a pawn." That single line flipped the script entirely. The public now understood. King Harris wasn't the architect. He was the convenient scapegoat, his viral meltdown the perfect alibi for a shadow operator with a much older, much darker score to settle. The central questions burned hotter. Why target 50 Cent through his mother's grave? Why choose that precise moment, right after King's stream? Why go to such elaborate lengths to frame a teenager while leaving breadcrumbs that only a real investigation would uncover? Then came the leak that truly horrified everyone. A longtime cemetery employee, speaking on condition of anonymity, revealed that the second hidden item discovered beneath the soil wasn't merely symbolic or threatening. It wasn't a random trophy. It had a direct, documented connection to a cold case from 50 Cent's distant past, a chapter many assumed had been buried with the bodies and the secrets of the 1980s and early 2000s street wars that shaped his early life. As that rumor detonated across forums, hip-hop Reddit threads, and Discord servers, theories exploded. This is deeper than any current feud. Someone is resurrecting old ghosts. This is revenge, real, personal, generational revenge. Who has the knowledge and the grudge to hit 50 exactly here? The Shade Room and other outlets ran cryptic posts hinting that this was never about clout, streams, or momentary drama. It was a deeply personal message, delivered in the most profane way possible. Industry panic reached fever pitch when an anonymous source claimed 2 senior investigators left the scene visibly shaken. One reportedly muttered to the other, "If he finds out who did this, bodies will fall." Whether the exact words were "gay bodies" in some retellings or simply a street euphemism for casualties, the internet seized on it. Blogs scrambled to verify, but verification didn't matter. The belief took hold. This had left the realm of entertainment. This was darker, older, tied to wounds that had never fully healed. And still, the world waited on the edge of its seat for the final revelation, the identity and meaning of that second hidden item. What object could be so disturbing, so loaded with symbolic weight, so precisely placed that seasoned investigators believed it explained the entire conspiracy? What artifact linked this desecration directly to a vanished rival from 50 Cent's past? Someone who had faded from the spotlight, but never from his own private ledger of debts. The answer, when it finally surfaced through controlled leaks and insider briefings, was the most explosive discovery yet. It didn't just turn the story upside down. It rewrote the entire narrative, suggesting that the real war had been simmering for decades, hidden behind layers of fame, money, and misdirection. And now, with 50 Cent's mother's grave violated and the clues laid bare, that war was no longer underground. TikTok and Twitter threads mapped the drive time from his mother's resting place, roughly 18-22 minutes depending on traffic. People posted drone footage of the entrance, grainy Google Earth scent, ills of the headstones, even theories about which plot might hold significance. One recurring name kept surfacing in the darkest corners of hip-hop forums, a figure from the early 2000s street politics who allegedly had a direct hand in, or at least knowledge of, the circle around the night 50 was shot 9 times. The same circle linked to those rumored CL initials. Then came the first real public ripple. A verified account belonging to a retired Queens detective who had worked violent crimes in the borough during the late 90s and early 2000s, posted a single line on X. Some graves should stay closed. Some names should stay buried. Be careful what you dig up. The post was deleted within 47 minutes, but screenshots spread like wildfire. The detective's bio still listed him as retired NYPD, 27 years. No further explanation, no follow-up, just that one warning. Around the same time, a low-follower account uploaded a short, shaky video filmed at night near the second cemetery's gate. In it, a flashlight beam sweeps across a weathered headstone. The name is blurred in post-production, but eagle-eyed viewers zoomed in and claimed to make out CL, followed by a last name starting with L. The video ended with the uploader whispering, "This is what they don't want found," before cutting to black. Within hours, the account was suspended for violating X rules, but mirrors were already everywhere. 50 Cent still hadn't spoken. But then finally something moved. A single post appeared on his Instagram. No caption, just a black square. In the center, in white text, 3 words. "Patience is power." The comments exploded. Some called it a confirmation he was onto the game. Others said it was a signal to the person behind CL that he wasn't rushing in blind. A few even interpreted it as a message to King Harris and T.I. Stay out of this, this isn't your fight. The Harris camp remained radio silent, but a close associate of T.I. was spotted leaving a private meeting in Atlanta with members of 50's management team. No photos, no leaks about what was discussed, just the sighting, reported by a blog that usually gets those details right. Security around both camps noticeably increased. T.I. was seen with additional personnel at a recent family event. 50's properties in Connecticut and New York had private detail rotations that fans photographed from a distance. More cars, more eyes, more stillness. And then the envelope arrived. Not at the cemetery this time. At one of 50 Cent's business offices in Manhattan. Hand-delivered, no sender, no postage. Inside, a single Polaroid-style photo. Blurry but clear enough. A close-up of cracked pavement with what looked like dried bloodstains long faded into the concrete. In the background, barely visible, the corner of a payphone booth, the kind that hasn't existed in New York since the early 2000s. On the back of the photo, typed in the same font as the previous note. "Same night, same street, you still owe interest." No signature, no initials, just that line. The photo was turned over to authorities immediately. But before it could be fully contained, someone inside leaked it. The image hit the internet at 3:14 a.m., exactly the same time the burner phone text had been sent weeks earlier. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't random vengeance. This was accounting. A debt, real or perceived, from 23 years ago, being collected in the most personal currency possible. Hip-hop held its breath. Because if 50 Cent decides the next move isn't online, if he gets in a car, drives to those coordinates and confronts whatever or whoever is waiting, the story stops being content. It becomes history. And everyone knows, when Curtis Jackson settles a score, he doesn't do it halfway. The fuse is lit. The world is watching. And the next chapter isn't going to be posted. It's going to be lived.